everyone, welcome back to Abrar channel. Today we are going to discuss from the book called Business Statistic, Communicating with Number, and this is written by Sanjeev and Alison, and is an Indian edition. Wonderful book. It has various business statistic problems and solutions. And one of the interesting thing which I am going to do is I'm going to define there is something called what is statistic, right? So I find it very intriguing and interesting detail about it. I'm going to explain in few seconds. What I will be doing is I will be covering up there is something called what is mean by good statistic, right? And then followed by what is mean inferential and what is meant by descriptive statistic. And finally, what is meant by sample versus population. And this book contains wonderful definitions, and in order to make it very easy, I drew up logic gate in order to make you comprehend on an easy way. So let me start this thing. And now what I'm going to do is when you say a statistic, right, it can, according to this book, it can be three things like ABC. I'm giving that AND gate. That means if all the things are being met, A plus B plus C, only then we'll get an output, right? So let's say we'll talk about A. A meaning like good data. When you have a good data, and it talks about a lot of things. When you say good data, the data has to be random, the data has to be genuine, data has to be measured properly, data has to be collected properly, and it should not lead to any misinterpretation and all that. That is rule number one. And then it says that two is right tool is also another important thing. What do you mean by right tool? Take an example of SPC data. When you have a discrete data, when you have an attribute data, you need to use it different tools, right? For example, P chart, NP chart, C chart, U chart. Let's say when you have a continuous data, variable data, you have an option, three chart you can use it, IMR chart, initial moving rate chart, or X bar R chart, or X bar S chart, and so on. So exactly the same thing throughout the statistic. What is very important is picking the right tool, whether it's a control chart, whether we are talking about MSA, whether we are talking about process capability, whether we are talking about design of experiment, whether we are talking about any sample test, t-test, whether we are talking chi square. For everything, the paramount important is picking the right tool is very, very important. And then you have something called C, right? So all you need to do is you need to communicate your numerical, your actually whatever the analysis you're doing it into numerical expression. That is very important. Whatever you need to communicate, for example, let's say you have performed MSA, measurement system analysis, and then you are getting the data. Let's say variable data like MSA, GRR, you are doing it, gauge repeatability and reproducibility, and from there you are getting the NDC value, and then you are going back. You are trying to find out where the variability is there, reproducibility or repeatability, and then further you are going to go down part to part variation. Further, you are going to do the part to part and how is the interaction, ANOVA, analysis of variances, and so on. So all you need to do is you need to communicate all your analysis into numerical expression. That is also important. When you meet all of these things, I'm not using the OR gate, I'm using the AND gate. When you meet all of these things, right? Having a good data, having a good tool, having a good communication, you're translating into numbers. When you have that, that is mean good statistic, right? That means your your whole analysis can go right, and you're on the right track. What if for example, I have a good data, my data is extremely good. I have checked, there is something called normality test I have done, bang on. I have just checked that actually p value, everything is perfect, so perfect, but I'm not using the right tool, right? So that means again I might end up having the wrong decisions or wrong value may come up. Right? Exactly the same thing. So I have used both of the things. I have used good data, I have used the right tool, but I am not able to communicate it. Then that also will be a problem, right? So that is mean the output when you meet all of these things, what you will get? You will get good statistic, right? From the good statistic, so let's do it R game, right? So again, it has two things. Maybe I'll use D and E, right? So there is something called inferential data statistic and descriptive statistic. Descriptive statistic. So inferential statistic meaning like from the large data set, you are concluding a factor or any drawing, you're drawing a conclusion that is called inferential statistic. That means from the whole data, one conclusion is being drawn up. That is called inferential. Take an example of MSA. In MSA, now we are deciding that okay, variability is huge. We are not going to accept the part and all that because one factor called NDC value is let's say 3. You are not going to accept it, right? So that is called inferential. That means you are concluding, you are drawing a conclusions. You are coming up with the conclusions with a large set of data, right? And then descriptive statistic meaning like one conclusion can have lot of backup objectives or backup inferentials or backup evidences. For example, NDC is 3 and there is a variability is more than 10%, reproducibility is more than 10%, and part to part is not good. This sample was failed, and all these are all the things. Outlier we have all this, so that's called descriptive. Descriptive meaning like when you drawing a conclusions with a small set of data and then it is quick, that's called descriptive. Inferential is something like conclusions, the oral conclusions, that is called inferential. For example, take an example of cricket match. One team wins, right? That is inferential. And then you go back and whether it's wins or loses, you go back and then mull over and then okay, what is the batting unit, how the batting unit performed, how the fielding being performed, how the bowler did their job, everything. That's called, again you can translate everything into micro level. That is called descriptive statistics. And then these are all the thing actually and then you have something called sample and population. Population meaning like large amount of data, and sometime even in the very beautifully it is being explained in ISO 19011 annexure 6.1, and it says that actually like we will not be able to take 100% sample in all the cases, and it has given that justification. Maybe the records are too numerous, or the records are dispersed geographically, or it is not practically possible, or it is a time consumption, or various reasons. That means what we do a test, we do a sampling, right? So population meaning like large amount of data, right? From there, when you're just taking one set of data sample, and then you're trying to set the conclusions, or you're trying to infer from that population, that is called sample. So population is big, sample meaning like you're taking some set of data from that population and then trying to infer from it. That is called sample versus population. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let's quickly summarize. First thing we talked about, when you say good statistic, right? Good statistic meaning like it is unfold of three things. One, good data you need, good tool you need to use the right tool at the right time, and then you need to translate. The competency comes into handy. Competence, communicating every situation into numbers, everything. And then we talk, that is mean good statistic or good statistician. And then we talked about the inferential statistic and descriptive statistic. That is something I wanted to infer from this very book called page number 5. It is very beautifully it is given, and then it also is given from the population, and there is something called sample also as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be making much more from this very book, and please stay tuned. Please Take very good care of yourself, and we shall see in upcoming videos. Thank you so much. Please do like, share, subscribe my channel. You have wonderful day